Hey everybody, I'm back today with another hands-on. This is the new G3. So the brand is called New. You can see that it's spelled N-U-U, but it's pronounced New. So they're actually a Hong Kong-based phone company because most of the videos I make, most of the phones I do unboxings are Chinese phones from Shenzhen, which is in southern China, about an hour from Hong Kong. So this is a Hong Kong company. Hong Kong is not quite China. It's complicated. It's technically China, but it's not really China. So this phone differs a little bit in that it's made in Hong Kong. And you know, the fact that New is a Hong Kong company and not a China company actually makes a big difference in how the company goes about the business. Because some of you probably already know this, hell, most of you already know this. But in China, there's a little bit of like an anything goes kind of lawlessness attitude, meaning, you know, first of all, you can just kind of copy things. There's not much IP laws. And you can just kind of do false advertising and you won't get in trouble. So that's why some brands like Doogie will advertise phones with dual cameras, but the second camera is fake. So New is actually very keen to point out that they are a legit company. So what does it mean by legit? They are a official certified Android partner. So that means if you go on Google's Android certified partner site, you will find the brand name on here. Let's scroll down to see it. New. So you see New Mobile. So you see all the other big names are here. So New is, want to point out that the reason they're a partner is because they have the official version of Google running in their phone. So you have to pay a license fee to Google to use the official version of Android. But a lot of Chinese brands, such as maybe Doogie or Liegu, they don't pay the license fee. Instead, they go to a third party in China to get another version of Android without having to pay the license fee. Now, that version of Android is legit. It's not like a fake version or anything. It's usually not the most up to date, and it's not ultimately through Google. It's not through Google, so it's not the most secure version. That's why if you scroll through this list, you won't find Doogie, you won't find Liegu, you won't find Blueboo, all those Chinese brands that I usually cover. Now, that's not. I don't want to trash those brands because I think for that price, they make pretty good phones. Like you pay $150 for a phone, I don't think you can complain too much. But there is a little bit of shadiness with those phones because they do false advertising a lot. Like a lot of times you look on the website, the bezels look a lot slimmer than the actual product. Or like Doogie, they say they have dual cameras, but they don't have dual cameras. So with New, they want to say that they have none of that bullshit nonsense. Their phones run legit Google, Android, and the two cameras on the back is actually real. And you know what? While I'm at it about like kind of shady business, I want to go on a little rant again. Apologies to some of the viewers. I mean, last time people got mad at me for calling out Tech Brothers, but I'm just sick of fake content. So I'll give you an example. The Vivo Apex, you know, that concept phone by Vivo. So that phone, it's not finished product. And Vivo only let a very small group of journalists to test the phone. I would say the number is less than 10. So these are people like The Verge, Android Authority, Android Central, and I was luckily one of the people because, you know, Vivo is a Chinese brand and they know that I'm like based in Hong Kong. So they like me. So I was one of the few people to actually get to test the phone. We had to test the phone in a private setting inside of a small room with them watching us. And we only had about 20 minutes. So that's why my video made it clear this is just a very brief hands-on. But a lot of other videos that you'll find on YouTube or some tech sites like Digital Trends, they'll actually put review in the title. They'll say this is a review of the Vivo Apex. But that's bullshit. You can't review a phone that's not finished yet and you only have like 20 minutes with the phone. So that's completely blatant misleading headlines. And YouTubers do that a lot too. So I noticed some YouTubers, what they do is they'll make videos of phones that they don't have. So, but they'll pretend like they have the phone because if you look at the screenshot on the video thumbnail, it's actually like a hand holding the phone and it looks like their hand. But you click into it, it's actually not their hand. They took that footage from somewhere else or from the official product video, and then the whole video is just them talking about the phone. And then there's this one dude, he puts giveaway at the end of every video as if he's actually giving away that phone when he's not giving away that phone. He's just holding one fucking giveaway, but he's been putting giveaway at the end of every video. So why do they do that? To get cheap traffic. And You know what? Like, I'm sorry, man. I'm talking trash, but that's just cheap. Like, you're trying to get cheap traffic, and I hope viewers and readers are smart enough to notice that. So I try to do legit work. I try to only write about or talk about phones that I have on me. So anyway, back to this G3. I actually first tested this phone like 3 months ago when I visited the company, but I didn't want to write anything or make a video of the phone until I had the product in my hands with time to test it. So this phone retails for 200 US or 199 euros. So it's 200 US, I guess that's cheap enough to be called a budget device. And I tested it already a couple months back, as mentioned. It's very nice. So it has a Helio P25 chipset, 64 gigs of internal storage, 4 gigs of RAM. The only letdown is the display, which is only a 720p panel, but it's okay for that price. I think it's good enough. I wish it was at least 1080p, but let's get on with the unboxing. So packaging is very nice. Like, you have this little holder for the phone. It's a little bit stiffer, harder than usual. It's not like a cheap cardboard. And you do get a phone case. That's one of the good things with buying from smaller brands, is they usually give you a phone case. So there's a little bit of a pattern on this. Adds a little bit of style to the back. So this is the US version of the phone. So this is a US plug. So even though this company is based in Hong Kong, they actually sell their phones in the US. And I believe in Southeast Asia too. They're not like a really famous company, but people who are into the budget entry-level smartphones do know of them in the US. So you have a SIM ejector tool right here, and a USB-C cable. So no screen protector, I don't think, but you do get a case. So let's get to my favorite part, peeling. Let's look at the specs first. So 5.7-inch display, 18:9 aspect ratio, 720p resolution, 4 gig, 64 fingerprint. I believe this phone also has face unlock, so we'll test that out. Dual SIMs. By the way, I'm really happy to hear that Apple's considering putting dual SIMs on the next iPhone. Because, man, having one SIM sucks when you live in Hong Kong. Because Hong Kong is really small. So you're always traveling out of Hong Kong. Like I said, it only takes me about 40 minutes to go to China, Shenzhen. And then I can fly to Taiwan in an hour and a half. Go to Japan in like 3 hours. So we like having... most people in Hong Kong use 2 SIM cards, basically. So dual SIM phones are much needed. So, very nice feeling phone. The back is a little bit fingerprint magnet, but I like it as a little bit of texture. This is glass, I believe. And the display has a slight curve. So this is pretty good for a entry-level $200 device, because usually device at this price range, the panel is completely flat. So let's power on the phone. The bezels are okay. They're relatively slim, but not super slim. So I don't know what to call these bezels, because every company now wants to call these phones like bezel-less phones. I think New used this term too, or all-screen display, but this is not bezel-less. This is small bezel, but it's not bezel-less. So anyway, you know what's up. I'm gonna play with the phone, take some photos, play some games, and I'll be back in a couple of hours. Hey guys, I'm back. So play with the phone for a few hours. So my early impression is that for $200, this phone is really legit. In the words of Flossie Carter, it's a go. So 18:9 aspect ratio makes for very comfortable feel in the hand. I like that there's a subtle curve to the display. It doesn't curve as much as a Samsung Galaxy device. Instead, it curves just a little bit, kind of like the LG V30, where if you look at the side, you see a little bit of the display, but not as much as you would on the Samsung Galaxy phone. So 5.7-inch display at 18:9 aspect ratio is probably at the perfect size. That's about similar size as the Galaxy S8 and S9, which is 5.8-inch. It just feels good in the hand, and I'm able to reach all the way to the edges of the display. This is crucial for one-hand typing when I'm out and about. So fingerprint reader, fast and accurate. Registering was really fast too, so you can tell that New didn't cut costs on this like some other brands I've tested with a fingerprint reader. It's a little bit buggy. So a quick look at all the buttons and ports. So at the bottom you have a USB-C jack with, this is only one speaker grill. So this is a real speaker grill, this is fake, this is for decoration. You know, on the right, all the buttons on the right side, you have volume rockers up and down. I like that they're separated, so it's not actually volume rocker, but volume buttons. And the power button, there's a little bit of texture to it. I like that. So that means you can feel the difference between the power button and the volume down. The left side is completely clean, and on the top you have a SIM ejector tool. So let's get straight to the cameras, because as I mentioned earlier, this is one of those rare budget phones that has legit dual cameras. So you have one 13 megapixel, one 5 megapixels. So the camera interface is very simple. You swipe to the left to move around different modes. So you have like panorama, mono, black and white, and then you have pro mode. So the pro mode, what I like is you actually can see the real-time changes you make to ISO and white balance and all of that. And then you switch back to the left now, you go to portrait mode. So this is a legit portrait mode because this phone has a real dual camera. So as I mentioned earlier, let's do a quick test right here. You'll see that, here, check this out. You look at the photos. See, you see that the blur actually went all the way around my arm and my fist. So it's not one of those fake circular blurs that you would see in a lot of other Shenzhen phones. And then the video also has filters. These are pretty fun. These are pretty cool. Like this filter here, I can see make for some really visually appealing videos. And then you go into settings and there's like, you can shoot all the way up to 4K resolution and as low as 144. And same with photos. You go with photos, a lot of resolutions for you to choose from basically. So the camera shutter is pretty fast. Focus times is respectable too. Photo quality, as you can see right now, they're pretty solid. I'm gonna put more samples right now. So I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit. So check out the bokeh right here. It's legit. It's a real blur around this cardboard cutout. And look, you can even adjust the degree of blur as you're taking the shot. Not after the shot though, like you could on Huawei phones. So looking at this video here that I shot in 1080p, so there is no OIS or EIS. As you can see, it's very jerky. But I think white balance and color accuracy is very good here, and dynamic range is pretty solid too. So this display panel, it's 720p, so it's not the most pixel dense, but it looks okay. It actually gets pretty bright outdoors. I used it earlier, it was fine, but indoors, you know, it's not the best display. The Elephone U Pro definitely looks better, although that phone's twice as expensive. I think if you compare this to other $200 phones, I think it's pretty decent, although I do think you can find better with 1080p resolution at about 200 bucks. So while we're here, we might as well test out my usual video test, right? So this is 50%. Let's go to the part of the video with more sound. So video, the speaker's a little bit quiet, a little bit weak. This is already like 70% volume. So you see the speaker's very easily muffled. Let's make the display a little bit dimmer. So the display does get pretty bright. So you, earlier it was like too bright for this video. So let's go max volume. So you know, speaker, nothing to write home about. Not too bad. In terms of benchmark, I went on PC Mark, ran a work test, scored 4324, pretty respectable. Flagship phones usually score about 6,000-ish. 4.3 is definitely on par with all the mid-tier phones out there. On Geekbench, single core is pretty weak, 828, but 3299 multi-core is really good. That's better than most of the other $200, $250 Chinese phones that I've tested. So the guys at New tell me that they want to keep Android as simple as possible, so they don't have much skin on it. This is all the apps that come with the phone other than the download PC Mark and Geekbench. So it's a very clean experience. Almost stock Android like, except you do get a duplicate browser. It's like, see, there's already Chrome here, so I don't know why there's this fake Chrome here, whatever this is. So there are a little bit of gestures here, which I always like. So for example, you have a one-hand mode. So I'm not sure you need this for a phone that's this easy to grip one-handed, but I like having it anyway. It drives me crazy that the OnePlus 5T doesn't offer you a one-hand mode because that phone's actually a little bit too big to use. So this is the LG V30. So you notice that, the top is still a little bit hard for me to reach all the way with one hand, and so is the right side. If I'm typing, you notice that it's a little bit of a stretch for me to reach all the way here. So I like going into one-hand mode whenever I need to. So the fact that this phone has one-hand mode, it's awesome. Thank you for that. And OnePlus, you need to get on it and put one-hand mode in your phone. And so does Apple, iPhone. And then you also have gestures such as double tap the home button to lock, and then all these like slide 3 fingers to launch the camera. So we'll check this. Double tap to lock the phone so it turns off. Fingerprint reader should turn it back on. So Helio P25 chipset, so gaming should not be a problem. I played about 20 minutes of Tekken. I played some Breakneck, and everything seems to be running smooth. The phone is not really, a little bit hot, but not too badly. I haven't noticed any frame rate drops or anything, so gaming performance is very solid. So that's it for now. I will probably test this phone out more. I think I really like that this phone is honest. Real dual cameras, a chipset that's not the most powerful, but it gets the job done. 720p display, battery efficient. There's 3000 milliamp battery inside with a 720p panel. It should definitely last all day. A clean software with none of that Chinese BS bloat. So $200. This is the new G3. Very impressed. Thanks for watching.